Hi everyone, this is Carolyn Speaks, The State of Our World on June 21st, 2020. So what is it? Good, bad? Let's find out. Let's have a little discussion. All right. Now, the coronavirus is still with us, still reigning supreme. Um, a lot of people, we've surpassed 120,000 people who have passed away from this virus. About 2.3 million people have the virus. So it's definitely with us, but it's something we can uh, fix if we do the right things. Now, in 1919, how does 1919 relate to 2020? There was a big wave of violence against black Americans at that time, and there's so much is similar to what's happening today. Um, there was black Americans were standing up to societal structures in unpredictable ways. People enduring months of a deadly pandemic infecting millions worldwide, shuttering businesses, and heightening fears of a lengthy economic downturn. That was 1919. And then there was an epoch, a period of time that would later be called the Red Summer, when communities across America were reeling from white mobs inciting brutality against black people, and cities were still wrestling with the third wave of the so-called Spanish flu epidemic that emerged the previous years. So that's similar. Um, and we also had in 1919, President Woodrow Wilson, who called the virus the Spanish flu, actually originated here in the Midwest at an army base and then spread because Woodrow Wilson didn't want it to affect the progress they were making in World War One. So people were crowded together in barracks and here, and then they were shipped overseas to Europe and brought disease to Europe. So very similar. Here we have a President Trump who doesn't acknowledge that there is a virus, doesn't believe in science, doesn't believe in facts, says, oh, it's a flu, it's nothing serious. So anyway, that's what happened, what they call the Red Summer of 1919, and now we have the summer of 2020. So, what else is happening? We had a president at the time, Woodrow Wilson, who was a racist and a segregationist. And right now we have a president, Donald Trump, who's a racist and a segregationist. So what's the difference? Um, History will teach you a lot if you bother to study it and then you learn the lessons of history. So that was a problem back then, and we didn't know how to deal with it back then. So there were beatings, lynchings, and burning of churches and buildings, and as a result of the violence, the Ku Klux Klan, the KKK, saw a resurgence. It was this affected cities like New York and Chicago, and it was a very violent period. And with the president at the time, Wilson, who was a racist and segregationist, what could you do? And then we had people in Washington, the capital, black people who were pulled off of streetcars and killed for being black within steps of the Capitol and the White House. So if you think you would be if you thought you would be safe in uh, Washington, D.C., you were wrong. So, now, what else happened that was similar to what we have now? Well, just read the newspapers, listen to the news, listen to what's happening. Um, There's a man named Bubba Wallace who's a NASCAR driver who decided to not support having the Confederate flag as part of NASCAR, and the NASCAR ban on Confederate flags. So this man spoke out against using the Confederate flag, and the other day, a noose was found in Bubba Wallace's garage stall after NASCAR banned the Confederate flag. Similarities to 1919, after the Civil War, black people were heading north because there were no opportunities in the South, unless they were sharecroppers or remained servants of their former white masters. And the people in the North didn't know how to do that, deal with that. They said jobs were scarce. Well, jobs are not scarce if you know how to educate people and organize people and take care of people. So there are similarities from 1919 to 2020. And President Woodrow Wilson dealt with it very badly, and Donald Trump is dealing with it very badly. Now, staying on the same train of thought with the coronavirus, there's a place in Louisiana that used to be the home of sugar plantations, and when that plantations died out and the sugar industry went a little different way, petrochemical companies moved into this area in Louisiana, and petrochemical companies kind of operated as they wanted to because the state of Louisiana was not providing any guidelines or any regulations, and Cancer Alley is what this area became because the petrochemical companies were allowed to do what they want, and chemical industries are very polluting. So, and it's racism. This area of Louisiana is predominantly black, and so that's why this area was dubbed Cancer Alley. Also, the coronavirus is hitting black people much harder than white people. And the problem is, we have to deal with this. Racism is with us. It's not going away unless we do something. We educate people through all different ways. We have so much media available, we can educate people to live together in peace and not to hate, not to fear. But so who knows what's going to happen? The World Health Organization has very largest single-day increase in coronavirus cases. This summer is bringing a new wave of coronavirus hotspots. The coronavirus death toll in the U.S. surpasses 120,000, and counties all over the country are working to contain new outbreaks. Each state or county has opened up in a different way. There hasn't really been any leadership, except in a few states, but definitely no leadership coming out of Washington. So what else is new? So we really need to really learn the lessons of the past and take care of each other. We can't say it's going to go away as Trump did, because it's not going to go away unless it's treated properly. We still a shortage of personal protective equipment, hospital equipment like respirators and ventilators. We still have vulnerable populations, residents of veterans' homes, assisted living homes, retirement homes, shelters, homeless people, migrant workers, farm workers, people in detention centers, because Trump won't let them seek asylum, and people in prisons and jails, people who are out there trying to work to provide all of us with the necessities. They are the first line of defense. with the healthcare workers, there's grocery store workers, there's truck drivers, etc., all kinds of people. And so if you don't use your personal protective equipment, you're putting their lives in danger. You have to wear your personal protective equipment, a mask whenever you go out. Certain states have opened up gradually, and they've had a surge in coronavirus cases. And in like the state of California, they're opening up, and then after they've had a surge in coronavirus cases, and to the governor, Governor Newsom, has said everybody has to wear a mask in public. And there are people who are resisting that. There's a county in Southern California called Orange County, a very conservative county. They're fighting this. I live in Southern California. I was in the the grocery store earlier, and more people wearing masks now than were like a week ago when the county said you don't have to wear a mask in public. Only store employees, not store customers, but there are a lot more masks today. And I asked a store supervisor, well, what's the store's policy on wearing a mask in the store? And this supervisor said that if you feel like you're healthy and you're not a danger to anyone, and you feel comfortable not wearing a mask, you don't have to wear a mask. So that's very bad policy. You should wear a mask when you're out in public, because you could be giving someone a disease that is deadly. So wear your mask. In my house, we wear our mask whenever we go out in public. And we don't go out in public very much, but we do have to go to the grocery store and sometimes some other places, but we always wear a mask. So wear your mask, people. It's there to protect you. It's not going to hurt you to wear a mask. Don't worry about the way you look, because if you get the virus, it won't matter how you look when you're very sick or when you die. So wear that mask. Thank you. Now, what else would we like to do? We've talked about a lot of stuff today. The country has not really changed much from its origins. When it was founded, when the explorers, the conquistadors, the colonists came here, basically the U.S. was founded on the principle of indentured servants. So if you don't have the money to pay for the passage, come to the New World, someone will sponsor you, and you in turn will be indentured to that someone for a period of time, and then you can go on your own way. And slaves, of course, didn't have an agreement like that. They were brought here from Africa, and they didn't have a choice of being an indentured servant. They were slaves for 400 plus years. And now we have this pandemic, this coronavirus, with incompetent leadership in the federal government and in many states. So we have to try our best to do the right thing. We have an election coming up in November. Remember, elections have consequences. If you're not registered to vote, get registered and make sure you vote. Get into all the information you need about all the candidates and the issues, and vote. Please do vote. It's very important. Your life will depend on that. Okay, hang on a minute. Okay, I think maybe it's time for a little song. There's a little song I wrote called Life is Worth Living. Here it goes. Life is worth living if you give it a chance. So don't give up and don't give into despair. There are so many creatures who God hath created who would love to have a chance at life. So that can be your purpose, to help them to live a good life. Life is very precious, so don't trifle with it. For once it is gone, you cannot get it back. Perhaps you need a new outlook on life, or new friends. Life is worth living if you give it a chance. So don't give up and don't give into despair. Okay, that was Life is Worth Living, a little song I wrote. Hope you liked it. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Hope to see you all back here again tomorrow. This is Carol Ann Speaks, State of Our World, for Sunday, June 21st, 2020. Thank you. And remember, take care of yourself and take care of others. And also, kindness goes a long way. Kindness goes a very long way. Thank you. See you tomorrow. Take care.